he was the most photographed man of the 18th century. He's the most famous man of the 18th century. Probably the greatest thinker of the 18th century, if you ask me. He's definitely up there, if not the number one. For me, he's number one. Now, this is a man who was a slave. He was born, he wasn't taught to read or write, he was raised in horrific conditions. He managed to teach himself to read and write, and he knew that what was going on around him was wrong, and he had this understanding that other slaves did not. He wrote something that blew my mind when he said in his autobiography that he became a teetotaler because as he sort of looked around the slave farms, what would happen was people would go through these terrible conditions, but then on Christmas Day they'd be allowed to drink and eat good food, and so that little tiny crumb of reward would make them actually feel some affection for their slave owners. He actually said that when they'd go on days out and they'd meet slaves from other farms, they'd get in arguments, sometimes fight about who had the better slave owner, right? I was reminded of that Tyrion Lannister quote, slaves learn to love their chains, but he knew all of this was wrong. If you read his autobiography, all he ever wanted to be was fully, legally recognised as a free man. And when he ran away from his farm, he still technically wasn't free. He would do speeches and he would rouse up support for the abolitionist cause. He was said to be one of the most brilliant orators you have ever seen. But he still wasn't free. There's always a chance he could get captured, returned to his farm, a la 12 years a slave. So what his friends did, fellow campaigners in abolitionism, is once he'd escaped from his farm, it started to become apparent that people were starting to find out which farm he came from. They sent him to Europe to do speeches to raise support and money for the cause of abolitionism here. And they sent him to Newcastle. And if you read his autobiographies, all this man writes about is his entire dream is to be legally, fully recognised as a free man. And he achieved that dream in that place. I've gone on Tinder dates 200 years later. He achieved that dream in The Alchemist because he gave a speech that roused the Geordie people up so much. The Geordie people did something that they often still do when people are struggling. They had a whip round. They raised 150 quid, that is £25 more than I paid for my Roomba a couple of weeks ago. Sent it back to his slave owner, bought his freedom, sent him back to America, and he went on to meet with Abraham Lincoln to start the Civil War to end slavery, right? And it's not just him. So many slaves came through that building and got their freedom bought for them, including William Wells Brown, who was a famous abolitionist who went on to be a thespian, a politician, and ironically enough a stand-up comedian. And he wrote in his autobiography that there is no closer friend to the American Negro slave than the city of Newcastle upon Tyne, and yet all people know us for is Anthony man.